Hi guys, and very warm welcome back to the channel on Wednesday in the middle of Easter week here in Spain. Tomorrow the first processions start on the Thursday, Friday and then on the Sunday. There have been some processions earlier in the week on Monday just to celebrate Palm Sunday, which was the day before. So a big day this week in southern Spain and all over Spain, to be honest, for the processions and the stuff that's going on. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this particular bike that's in front of us here today, the Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. The reason I'm making this video is now I've owned this bike for 21 months, so 1 year and 9 months. And obviously Royal Enfield are moving in different directions and bringing different bikes out, and people see different bikes, they own a bike and they wonder whether they should dob their bike in and get a new one. So my opinions and thoughts after 21 months with the Super Meteor 650. It's an absolute stunner of a bike, guys. It's absolutely amazing. It still amazes me to this day. As you'll have seen from my early videos, my only caveat is the forward mounted pegs, and a lot of people love them. They really like them to go with this bike. I'm not a big fan. I prefer to change them to mid-mounted pegs, and that will happen in the near future as kits become available. And also people want to swap out things from other bikes, and I'll talk about that a bit more in the video as we travel through it. So the 650 Classic, was I tempted? Well, to be honest, it's a lovely looking bike, especially the black and chrome one, and a couple of reasons why. Firstly, I really like the look of it. I like the bike and the way it looks. I love the fact it's got the same 650 engine. I like the fact it's got the same chassis, Harris designed and built chassis as this. A lot of things about it I do like. What I don't like about the bike is that I think that particular design that was reminiscent of the 500 Classic and the 350 Classic, they are classic Royal Enfield bikes of bygone eras, and the 650 Classic goes on to try and replicate that, albeit built on a new chassis and engine and gearbox for this particular model. So I think, and I've described it this way before, I think the 650 Classic is a bit candy floss. I prefer the mid-mounted pegs on the controls, I should say, on the 650 Classic, so that is a big plus point for that particular bike. What I don't like about the 650 Classic is the seat height. Now, I'm not short, but I'm not overly tall. I'm 5'10", inside seam 31, and when I sit on the 650 Classic, I can't flat foot it both sides. I'm slightly on the ball of my foot, so it's not perfect. For me, it's not as relaxed as this. It rides exactly the same as the 650 Super Meteor, albeit the seating position. Now, what I want to say with regards to the 650 Super Meteor, here in Spain, I don't know about other countries, from what I can gather and where I've looked, it seems to be the same case. It's still the flagship of the Royal Enfield lineup, and by that I mean it's the dearest bike in the range. So this is considerably dearer, even now, the Super Meteor 650, in its basic guise or in the touring pack, than the Classic. The Classic's a lot cheaper. Whether that's down to components on the Classic, I don't know. I know for a fact the Classic has generic brakes or generic branded brakes. They've just got Royal Enfield on them. They may be hybrid brakes, I don't know. Someone could put me right on that in the comments. I believe the suspension may still be Showa. It's a different setup to what we've got on this particular bike. And the rear suspension, from what I've heard, seems to be more softer or more plush than on the Super Meteor 650. But again, I reckon that's down to the mid-mounted pegs and the way you sit on the bike. I think if this had mid-mounted pegs, you'd be easier able to lift yourself off the saddle over any bumps and take the weight off the base of your spine. So I think that's probably the main reason along those lines. So a couple of the reasons why I don't like it and I won't be buying it. It's too much of a copy of the original, and this sounds a bit of a contradiction, too much of a copy of the original Bullet 500, in as much as the styling's similar, but it's a totally different setup, chassis wise, engine wise, gearbox wise, etc. And all bike manufacturers do that. Bearing in mind Triumph was under new owners after it went bankrupt, and it was brought back to life again. So even if you look at the Triumphs, the Bonnevilles, dirty grip, big water cooled engine, it's nothing like the classic bikes of the past, although it retains some resemblance. So the 650 Classic for me, it's not going to sway me from parting with this. This is going to be a long-termer. I've said in the past that I believe that in 20 years' time, this will be a true modern classic. I believe that because this was built from the ground up. It was a totally different bike. Before this bike came out, we had the Interceptor that used a 650 platform. Again, that was made totally as a new concept bike. This again was designed likewise. So everything about this bike has been designed from the ground up afresh. So all the other iterations that come in now are using this base platform to build upon the 650, the 650 Bear and the Shotgun. Now, what I would say is that the Shotgun, to my mind, should have had the forward mounted controls, and this bike should have had the mid-mounting controls the Shotgun's got on. Now, the reason I believe that this had the forward mounted controls is purely for the domestic Indian market, where the Indian market have been screaming out for a cruiser style bike. There are some Harley Davidsons in India, as you know. The taxation to get them into India and the price of them is extortionate, same as anywhere else. They're a dear bike to buy. So the Indian market really wanted its own cruiser style bike, and I think Royal Enfield bowed with this and turned this, when they were designing and developing it, into the cruiser that that particular market wanted. Now, I think it would have been fortuitous at the time if Royal Enfield, like other bikes, the Kawasaki's for instance, gave you the option to move your controls, your forward controls to mid controls and vice versa. So had they made this a kit format that you could move them forward or backward to your preference, that would have been a fantastic selling point for this particular bike, and it would have sold a lot more. There's a lot of people that don't like the forward pegs. It's too cruiser stylish. Again, I wouldn't class this as a cruiser style bike. If you look at some of the photos I'll post at the end of the video, you can see the lines of it are along the lines of a classic bike. If it had a bench seat, it would look nothing like a cruiser. The height of the seat is nothing like a cruiser. You sit on it, okay, I can flat foot it both sides, but it's not a low slung cruiser style bike. It's more akin to a Sportster, and I've said that in previous videos, so you could compare it to the 883 or the 1200 Harley Sportsters in seat height and ride style, etc. Although they class themselves, the Sportster, they fall within the Harley Davidson cruiser category, but they're not really. To give it a separate name as a Sportster is exactly what it is. Now, power-wise, there's not much difference power-wise between this and the new Classic 650. It's marginal. The new 650 is slightly down-tuned. This bike, when you first get it, is so low torque that you can tootle around bends in top gear. You can pull away in third and fourth, no problem, from a very slow speed. And that, to a lot of people, lulls them into thinking it is a slow, ploddy bike at 47 brake horsepower, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Once it's run in, it's quite a capable bike. So this particular bike of mine, if I'm riding solo, not pillion of course, riding solo, 120 in third, fourth, it'll go up to 140-ish, or maybe a touch more if I was allowed to do that. In fifth, you're going to go up to 150 easily if I was allowed to do that, and in sixth, well over 160. So in terms of classic bikes or designs of classic bikes that were predominantly oil air cooled like this is a ton-up bike like the bikes of the 60s. So this bike would have been capable of joining the ton-up guys around Ace Cafe in the 60s and doing the circuit and reaching 100 mile an hour. So yeah, it's truly is a really remarkable made bike. Fit and finish on it is, in my mind, up there with Triumphs. I know a lot of you guys in the UK and in colder climates have had some problems where the enamelling around the engine casing is starting to blister around the edges. Now, I know I'm in a warmer climate. We have 300 days plus of sunshine here a year. And it does get regularly washed, so it is getting water on it, but I tend to use good detergent and good alloy wheel cleaner to keep it clean. No corrosion whatsoever on my bike. There's not even a nut or bolt that's showing any sign of corrosion. It's more or less pretty much as the day I rolled it out the garage getting on for 2 years ago. So I'm not tempted to buy the 650 Classic because I believe this is a totally new built classic bike. There will be a classic bike of the future. And the fit and finish, the show of forks, the show of rear suspension, everything around about the bike is top notch. Now, the other bikes in the Royal Enfield range, they're coming on leaps and bounds, as you know. I've ridden the Gorilla 450, and I've not done a review on that because, again, likewise with the 650 Classic, it's not worth me doing a review. They've been reviewed to bits. The Gorilla 450, punchy little engine because it's water cooled, pushing out nearly 40 brake horsepower, so not a great deal of difference to this or behind this, but the difference in riding the two is totally different. This is totally laid back up to high motorway speeds, where the Gorilla 452 is a punchy little bike, but you can tell you're on a single, and I really can't get my head around where the marketing is for that bike, whether it's for the Indian market predominantly, where they're used to smaller capacity bikes and they're not really bothered about anything too aggressive and too high powered, so that may fit into that category. The A2 rider predominantly will love it for city commuting and dashing around on country lanes, and even commuting on it. It's an okay bike. It just doesn't jump out and grab me as something I would buy over excuse me guys, over something else apart from the price. So like I said, an A2 rider would probably buy that bike, and if they were doing a lot of riding over distance, they'd get pretty bored with it pretty quick. Yeah, the rest of the lineup, the Himalayan 452, it's proved to be a popular bike. Well, my opinions on the 452 Himalayan, like same as the Gorilla, you really need to use them gears, and you need to change down when you need to change down. The old 411 that I had previously, similar to this, it was very, very torquey. You could plod along in third and fourth gear and just pull away, no problem. The 452 engine, what I found when I've ridden it, it needs to go down. If you try and poodle around in fourth or fifth and you're doing a certain speed, you'll find the engine bobbling and it'll want to go down a gear, where this bike and the original Himalayan didn't do that. And that's why it was so popular, the original Himalayan. You can poodle over all sorts of rough ground on it and just knock it down a cog and not have to bother about what gear you're in to get the right torque on the terrain you're in. So guys, all in all, over 18 months, 19, 21 months, I had to do the maths there guys, so a bit of quick thinking in the head. Over 21 months that I've had this bike, which is a year and 9 months, I've absolutely loved riding it. It's not as powerful with a pillion on the back. My wife loves going on the back of this. Out of the bikes I own, all the bikes, so that's this one, the Super Meteor, the Moto Guzzi California, which I love to bits, the two Vosges, that's the Vosge 300 Rally and the Vosge 900 DSX. This is my baby, this is the one I love, and this is the one that if the sun's shining and it's a beautiful day, I've got my CarPlay unit that I've got on the dash here. If I've got that on, I've got a bit of music playing in my ears and I'm off on a ride and just enjoying getting out and about in the countryside, this is the bike I'd take, because it's so nice to ride guys. The gearbox, the engine. The good thing about it, and I've said this in other videos, is that although it's 240 kilo, the same as the Vosge 900, and it is a heavy lump when you're pushing it around, there's no doubt about that. You push it around a garage, if you've got a slight incline or a slight dip, it's a lump of a bike to push around, but as soon as you get it moving, it feels like you're on a much smaller bike. It's very, very light to ride. It turns in really, really quick into the bends. It handles really well. It's not got a slow, lollopy handling of a cruiser. So again, that's why I wouldn't call it a cruiser. I'd class it as a Sportster. All in all, it's a superb little bike to ride. You don't really have to think about riding it. You can get on it and ride it without thinking about the weight, coming to a stop, coming to a bend, coming to a turn. Very, very confidence inspiring bike, and really, really nice to ride. So guys, what I'll do, I'll pick up the camera, which at the moment is being held down by 2 blocks because we have got gusty wind, and previously on my DJI camera I knocked it over once and broke the lens cover. Fortunately they're easy enough to replace, so I'll get that and I'll walk around. There's not a great deal I've done to this bike. It's pretty much as was when I bought it, but there's a couple of little tweaks I've done and I'll show you them, and I'll get some close-ups on the bright work and paint work, and you can see how it's faring after nearly a couple of years. So I'll stick my phone in my back pocket and I'll move my glasses out of the way. And what we'll do before I do that, I'll do a sit-on test for you with regards to height. Now, like I said, I've got a 31-inch inseam. I'm not an overly tall guy, and okay, on the Vosge I can flat foot that, the 900, but you know, that is a low seat height. This is not much different, to be honest, to the Vosge in seat height. So we'll tip it up off the side stand. and you can see I'm flat-footed both sides, but I'm only just flat-footed. Like I say, it's the Vosges is similar height for me. If I move back on the seat, then I'm slightly off the backs of my feet, and that's due to the fact that the seat's so wide. So if I scoot forward into a forward position, I'm comfortably flat-footed on both sides, is not a problem. It's very well balanced. The centre of gravity on the bike is really, really nice. The whole aspect when you're sat, without putting any bar raisers or anything on this, stock from the factory without moving anything, for my height, 5'10", when I'm riding it, everything just falls into place perfectly. It's one of them bikes you can jump on and say, wow, that's perfect. The wing mirrors are great. I'm going to be ordering some bar end mirrors, stadium mirrors for it from the UK, but at the moment I've held off them because I don't want to pay import duty when I get them, so I'll probably get a relative to bring them over in a case, and I'll put the bar end mirrors and I'll take these off, and that's one of the mods I'll be doing. So we'll have a walk around the bike, and I'll show you some of the bright work. Yeah, so from the side angle view on the bike, it tends to look more like a black bike due to the fact that the British Racing Green, or the speckled green pearlescent, is in the centre of the tank, in the centre of both mudguards. So you can see I've put the two bags on the back. I did a video about them previously. They sit nice and close to the bike, carry a fair bit of stuff in them there from Amazon. If you troll back through my early videos, you can see where I bought them from. Pretty much stock everywhere else. There's no engine covers, anything changed there. That's all stock. You can see, and you'll notice, that the seat is totally different to the stock seat, and they're from eBay, and I bought them from an Indian company on eBay, and they're Sahara seats. Really, really nice, comfortable seat. The only other thing I've changed on the bike is I've put an Android Auto CarPlay unit on, and this is a fixed unit that's wired into the bike. It's got the remotes on the handlebars. Again, there's a video, if you troll back through my channel, on that and installation. It's got an awful lot of cabling with it because it's got front-facing camera, which is located down here. It's got a rear-facing camera that's located there. That's recording all the time. It's full Android Auto, so you get music, maps, all the rest of it. Yeah, so we'll put it to one side and we'll start it back up again, and I'll give you a sound of it running. Now, the only thing I have done with regards to running on the sound of the engine is I've taken the snorkel off the airbox, and the snorkel is just a cover on the front that faces backwards to stop any ingress of water getting in there. But once you take that off, it gives a lot more airflow through the existing filter. You can get a high flow filter which does the same thing, but to my mind, from the performance I'm getting out of it, it's fine. The stock exhaust I'm happy with. I'm not bothered for saving 2, 3, 4 kilos on the exhaust. Like I've said before, if I have a good barbecue at a weekend, I can put that on over a weekend, so that's a bit of a non-starter for me. So let's get the bike started. Put that back there. And my old dog trying to get in on the action. You okay, Soxy? And very handy to start the bike would be a set of keys, which I have in my back pocket. So we'll start her up. We'll do a microphone test near the back of the bike. So as you can see, guys, she's a beautiful bike. I'm really, really pleased with it. It's a long-term keeper as far as I'm concerned. Some point in the near future, there are going to be some kits available, I would believe, or I would think, to change the forward sets to mid sets. Now, there is the possibility of changing the forward sets from the mid sets, I should say, from a shotgun onto this. They bolt straight on, and anyone who's watching this channel at the moment, or anyone watching my channel who's got a shotgun and they want forward pegs which look much more in keeping with the bike, in my opinion, the shotgun is a proper street cruiser. and a street bobber. So if you've got a set of mid sets, and you live in Spain, or even if you want to post them out and I'll post mine to you, I'll do a straight swap over, and you can try the forward pegs and I'll try the mid pegs. So yeah, all in all, guys, keeper of a bike. So enjoy Easter holidays, guys. Hope you have good weather wherever you are. Enjoy your riding. And am I changing for the 650 Classic? No, this is a keeper, and it's going to be staying in our bike stable. So ride safe, guys. Peace out, and I'll catch you in the very next video.